What's good? It's your boy Rico, and we back with another episode of Pokemon Duel. I wanted to create a video on basic strategy, basically what I do, what goes through the mind of Sir Rico. Okay, I've had a few people request like how to be better or what I do, and the first thing I want to preface is like I'm no expert. I'm a free-to-play player. I don't have a lot of the mons. My secret sauce is I like to set up and capitalize on my opponent's mistakes. I like the strategy aspect of the game more in the RNG. I mean, RNG is going to mess you up either way. Like, you have to just prepare for the worst when it comes to games like this, when it comes to RNG. But because there's a board and there's like a chess match, that's where I guess that's where I kind of thrive. But like I said, I'm no expert. I'm just your mediocre player. So what I want to do is I just want to talk about the mons that I'm using currently and how I utilize them in my deck. And first, we're going to start off with Deoxys A. Now, Deoxys A, man, I thought he was going to be really good because every time I played him, it was just such a nightmare. After playing with him for about, what has it been, 2 days now, I realized playing with Deoxys A is basically a flip of a coin. It's a heads or a tails. And it seems like I get dimensional slip way more than I get the Psycho, or his attack, his 130. I don't remember what it's called. Psycho Boost, Psycho Cut, Psycho something. I don't know. But things that you need to have when you have a Deoxys A, though, because of that, are double chances. Now, I finally got my double chance from the volcano because people, you guys helped me out. Everybody on Reddit helped me out and figured out where I get the second double chance. I thought you can get it anywhere. So if you'll look, 1, 2, 3, and it took me forever just to get the blue spin, which was an X defend. What was this one? Iron power. And this one was the Dread power. And I got some other stuff, and I was like, what in the world is going on? I didn't know that you had to fight the boss to get it. And I finally got the double chance. So I have 2 double chances. So that's what you need to use. If you're going to use a Deoxys A, you need to have a double chance in the event that you get the dimensional slip. That's basically Deoxys A. The only counter basically to Deoxys A is somebody with a gold attack, or himself, because he basically counters himself because he always rolls dimensional slip. Lucario. Now Lucario is an interesting figure. We're going to go into him real quick. Lucario, I like a lot. Lucario's good when it comes to mons that have their wheel is over 50% of their wheel is a white. So I look at my Lucario and I know that I'm not afraid to attack people who have, like I said, over 50% of their wheel a white. Like the Reshiram and Zekrums, I'm really not scared to attack them. You want to have a double chance when you're using Lucario too when you're up against those mons, like the strong mons, like the Zekrums and the Reshirams, because if you look at his will, I basically have a 33% chance to hit Aurora Sphere. And then when I use double chance, it basically gives me an extra 33%. It gets me up to 67% chance of hitting that Aurora Sphere. If anybody you've seen 21 and you recall the scene where Ben Campbell's talking to the teacher about the 3 doors, that's where I get my reference from when I'm looking at Lucario. That's where I get my confidence come when I fight those mons. I'm like, okay, I know I have about a 67% chance of hitting Aurora Sphere if I have my double chance. Let's take a look at my next mon. Whimsicott. So Whimsicott, I really enjoy Whimsicott because he's a great runner. And before I go on, in your deck, you kind of want to have at least 2 runners. 2 runners meaning Pokemon that have 3 moving power. At least 2 runners, at least 2 attackers, Pokemon that have 2 moving power that are strong attackers, like Deoxys A because of his 130 base attack. That would be considered an attacker. But 2 and 2, and then your last 2, it could be either. I mean, you can have a defender. I wouldn't have more than 2 defenders. I'd have 1 defender. But as a player, I don't like having a defender at all. I'm more of a kind of aggressive when it comes to like once the opponent makes a mistake, then I become really aggressive, and it all depends on who takes out that first mon. But anyway, back to Whimsicott. He's a great runner, and I'll show you why. Dex, Whimsicott, his wheel and his attacks are very good against most Oops. Go back in there. They're good against most runners simply because I have that huge dodge, which I don't know, that equates to probably a third of the will. So you have a 33% chance of hitting the dodge, which blue trumps everything. The Moonblast, I typically don't hit that much. I really don't. Even though, like I said, that's another 1/3 base, almost pretty much a 1/3. And then Cotton Guard. Cotton Guard is just really good because it allows you to, if this Pokemon, in this Pokemon's next battle, it cannot be knocked out. So you have to be wary of gold attackers, obviously, like Zapdos or any other gold attacker that can do damage above 40. So I use Whimsicott because, like I said, he's very versatile at matching up well against other runners. I guess I can just stay in here. Next one, I'm going to go back to Dex. Edit figures. Okay, my next one's Poliwhirl. Now Poliwhirl, I'm still kind of figuring him out. I mean, he's really good at disrupting the other enemy team with his spitting pattern, which your opponent's spins are shifted by 2 segments in a clockwise direction. So now you just kind of have to think of somebody who has a wheel, preferably someone who has a wheel that's has at least 5 attacks and at least 2 misses. Now what that looks like, that would look like Reuniclus. So we're going to take a look at Reuniclus real quick. If we can find him. There he is. So anytime Reuniclus hits Brink Link, he rolls a miss. Anytime he hits Hyper Beam, he hits Confuse Ray. Anytime he hits a miss, he hits another miss. Like this, that's what I figured is the ideal that's what I figured is the ideal thing for Poliwhirl. And I don't know, Poliwhirl, like I said, I'm still trying to figure him out. But the hypnosis comes in play too. When the mons are like high, when they're like most of their will is white. That's Poliwhirl's pretty good for that too. Now Shuppet is a very, very good runner. I think him and Mew, they're probably the best runners. Just because of how versatile Shuppet is, because of his abilities, Infiltrator, so which allows him to pass through other mons, and his Will-O-Wisp is really it's pretty big. It's like I can't look at that right now. Maybe that's a little less than a third, a little more than a third, or a little less, which is really good, especially when it goes up against other white attackers, because like when Shuppet's on the field, like you can't just go out and attack it. Like you have to be wary of him hitting that wisp, and if he hits that wisp, he's going to be doing some damage. And he's really just, and I'm going to show you at the end of this game too. We're going to do the Shuppet wall. What I like to do is to set up on the Shuppet wall. And now the last and final mon is my Pupitar. Now Pupitar, the only reason why I have my Pupitar is because of the league I'm in. Because I'm in Masters, I see lots of Mews, I see lots of Greninjas. And that's what Pupitar is really good. He's really good at taking out those runners because of his Thrash. It's pretty big on his will. You match that with an X attack, and most of the time, Greninja and Mew can't handle it. And then it gives me that opportunity to evolve into Pupitar. I mean, Tyranitar. So that's the only reason why I have Pupitar. But the more games I'm playing, I'm actually seeing less Mews and less Greninjas. So I might be taking him out soon, because like if they don't have a Mew or a Greninja, that's basically useless. I basically can't use him for anything. Okay, so now let me jump into a quick match against myself. I want to just show you some basic strategy that I do at the beginning of a game. Room match. Oh. I almost forgot the password. I did. I'm like thinking too much. Play. I'm gonna show you how I set up. I basically, on most games, because where I'm at now, people are just filling each other out. No one's going out recklessly and trying to do like crazy attacks. It's basically filling each other out, and I'm mostly setting up the Shuppet wall. Now, what I want to show you what to do, what not to do, real quick before I do the Shuppet wall. So typically what I'll do is I'll use my runner. I always start with Whimsicott, like I said, because he's pretty versatile against any other runner. Now what you should never do is if you have a runner and you went second, you should never come up here in the event that you're going to do a hurdle jump and then they're not going to do anything and I'm just going to end my turn. Because most people are running hurdle jumps. So what this gives me this gives me a great opportunity to hurdle jump the player. And now the player has to play defense, because if he does not play defense, I win next turn right on the goal. So typically what they'll do then is they'll be like, if they have another runner, they'll be like, oh no, and they'll have to block me off, so they'll put me around right here. And then what happens is I'm free to surround whoever is right here. This is something I commonly see people do, so please don't do that. And I'll just trap them off. Boom. Okay, so now we're just gonna reset back up, and how we're gonna show, like how I typically do the Shuppet wall. And we're just gonna put him right there. So we're gonna move all my mons back. Oh, end turn. God, I keep forgetting to end turn. So when I use my Shuppet wall, I basically have two mons on the outer sides of the square, and then my Shuppet in the center. And then I also, and typically when I do that, you know, they'll start moving up on the side, and then I'll move up on the side too. But what I'll do is I'll put Lucario, it doesn't really matter who it is, but I'll put somebody close to my goal, and then they'll go again. And I'll move this other post next to my goal. So now this sets up a nice versatile Shuppet wall. So if any mon comes up right here in the center, Shuppet can trap. If any mon comes right here on my goal, Shuppet can also trap right here. So if Squirtle were to come up right next to my goal, Shuppet traps. Oops, I forgot to end turn. And then they're free to move. Let's say they move out of anger, and they're like, okay, and they attack right here. I'm just going to end the turn, but let's say they attack and I survive whoever that is. I bring Shuppet back, and that puts this guy in a bad position. Now he has to play defense. And rightfully so. But anyway, so that's kind of the basics. Real quick, just to recap, if you want to improve in getting better, you need to know the mons. You need to know what they can do. You need to know what counters your mons and how you can counter other mons. You need to know go away. Sorry about that. You need to know where you're at in the league. You need to know what you see a lot, and you need to know what plates do. You always need to look at their plates and know what they can do, because I'm still in the Masters League. I'm still running across plates and teams and doing things to me. I'm like, what the heck just happened to me? I didn't know that could happen. But it's just knowledge. The more you play, the more practice you get, the more experience you get, the better you're going to be, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy that game. It's just, like I said, basic strategy inside my head of how do I utilize my mons, and basically how my first initial setup is. Now you guys know the secrets. Now you guys can beat me. I had a lot of fun playing with viewers. I started off good, and then I started getting beat a lot. But anyway, till then, guys, peace. Also, I forgot to mention Reddit. Use Reddit. Reddit is your friend. They have lots and lots of information on Pokemon Duel. Thanks to Totodile. Totodile made a really, really good comprehensive tier, like how good each mon is, how he rates them, because of what they can do. So check that out. I left it in the description below, and like I said, check this link out and check out Reddit, because they're your best friends. Anyways, until then, guys.